Hey friends, it is Wednesday, April 1st, which is day 12, and this is our skills lesson for today. Our spelling words this week, briefly, are sun, kiss, scent, prince, jazz, pigs, zip, here, dresses, and running. And as usual, I want you to be practicing your spelling words. Do it in a fun way, however you want to do it. And on Friday, we'll do a quick spelling test and see how you do, okay? I want to remind you of a letter sound that we have been working on, which is G and J. They're both spelled with, well, J can be spelled with a J, but specifically the J spelled with a G. So it can be spelled, the G can make the G as in gum, glad, and dog, or it can make the J as in Jim, germ. So we have the G and we have our two sounds, gum, dog, glad, that's the G, and we have the G when it makes the J sound in Jim and germ. And in your, this is just a review, in your packet you have a little cheat sheet, which I will put up on the board with some extra information on it. You have this, and it kind of helps us to differentiate in when to use the J and the G. We're not here yet. We're looking right now at J and G, but I'll go over this. The J comes before an A, an O, or a U, as in jam, jump, job, and the G for the J sound will come before an E, as in Jim, germ, the I, or the Y. Gypsy is G-Y, okay? So for the J sound, if the word starts with J and you have an A, O, or U as the second letter, you're going to use a J. If the word starts with a G that makes the J sound and the second letter is an E, an I, or a Y, you're going to use a G, okay? Like Jim, germ, gypsy. And that's just to help you. There's always going to be an odd duck in there that's going to break the rules, but that's okay. It happens. And just to briefly go over, if you see the GE, GE makes the J sound if it comes at the end after an R-controlled vowel sound. So if the J sound is at the end of the word, large and urge, and you have an R-controlled vowel sound, R or then you spell it with a GE. If you will also spell it with a GE if it comes at the end of the word and there is consonant cluster like plunge, NGE, or bulge, LGE. So that's just to help you. And then you'll see the DGE for the J sound if it comes after a short vowel in a one-syllable word such as badge and fridge. There are always exceptions to the rule. So I think you have this paper, but I don't think you have your explanation. So if you want to pause the video and jot those down really quick, you can. It'll be here. Okay, that's just a review for our J sound. Sometimes it's spelled with a J, sometimes it's spelled with a G. Yesterday, we talked about pronouns. Okay, today we're going to start another P word, prepositions. So we talked about pronouns. Today we're talking about prepositions. So we have built some sentences in the past, we have learned that when we build sentences, we add nouns and verbs, and that's how we build a sentence up. So if I write, if I write, Rod slips. There's my sentence. I've got a noun and a verb, okay? We can build sentences, though, when we add prepositions. Like, one way to build a sentence is to add words called prepositions and prepositional phrases. That's when we add information. Maybe where something happens or how something happens. So, Rod slips. We can add a prepositional phrase in the kitchen. We have now built our sentence from just Rod slips. We added a preposition in and the prepositional phrase in the kitchen. That tells us where he slipped. So prepositions can tell you where or how something happened. It describes things. Here's another one. Gus runs. Okay, I've got a noun, I've got a verb. Gus runs. Gus is a proper noun. What does Gus do? He runs. All right, this is our verb. We know we squiggly line under our verbs. Where does Gus run? We don't know. It doesn't tell us. Let's see. Can we add a preposition and a prepositional phrase? Yes, we can. Where does Gus run? Gus runs up a hill. Preposition, prepositional phrase. Gus runs up a hill. So, now we know where Gus runs. We found out a little information. Prepositions can tell us where, how something happened. Let's try another one. Kate found a coin. All right, Kate found a coin. Who's the sentence about? Kate. Kate is our proper noun. What did Kate do? She found a coin. So found is our verb. We will squiggly line that. That's our verb. What type of coin did Kate find? Do you remember from your Kate reader? What kind of coin did Kate find? She found a Spanish coin. And where did she find it? In a cave. So we can change this sentence around to Kate found a coin. Let's add Spanish. Kate found a Spanish coin in the cave. So remember, prepositions can tell us where or how something happened. So where did she find the Spanish coin? In the cave. That's my prepositional phrase. The preposition is in. All right. Let's look at a couple more sentences. Ming slides. We have a noun, Ming, and a verb, slides. Where does Ming slide? I don't know. Can we add a preposition? Yeah. We can. Can we add a prepositional phrase? Yes. Ming slides in to home base. So now we know where. Now we know where she slides. How about this one? Ted hops. Okay, good. Ted hops. How does Ted hop? Where does Ted hop? Let's do how. How does Ted hop? Ted hops on one foot. So we use prepositions to answer how, where, something like that. When did it happen? In the spring, that would be when. Where did it happen? In the kitchen. How did it happen? On one foot. So prepositions in, on, of, under, those type of words are prepositions. And this is just an introduction to prepositions. I don't expect you to know all the prepositions from now on. This is just an introduction to help you understand. We can use prepositions like in, under, to, from, through, around, near, with. We can use those to help build our sentences. We learned that we can use nouns. We learned that we can use verbs. We learned that we can use adjectives. We learned that we can use pronouns. And now we're learning that we can also use prepositions. And this is all a part of our learning to build sentences, because in second grade, you're going to be writing your sentences a lot more independently. So we work on learning how to do that in first grade. So those are all the types of words you can use: adjectives, nouns, verbs, prepositions, pronouns, when you're building your sentences. All right, good job, guys. Let's go into our reader. All right, guys, our next thing we're going to do in this lesson is read The Picnic by the River. And I think we did a little oopsie because I don't think A Picnic by the River is in your workbook. That's okay. I'm going to read it to you anyway, so just follow along with me as I read. As we read A Picnic by the River, though, the story is about some surprise visitors that show up at Grace's family picnic. And you're going to hear some words like Grace, Spencer, raced, and center. Those are all words that have the sound spelled with a C. And you're going to hear voice and glanced. They have the C-E spelling for S. You'll hear the word rinsed, which has the sound spelled with an S-E. And you're going to hear some past tense words. Remember our ED sound? Sometimes it makes the T sound, but it's spelled with an ED, as in picked, stuffed, asked, brushed, and slipped. They all have the T sound at the end, but they're spelled with an ED because they're past tense. Anytime we make it past tense, we're going to spell it with an ED, even though sometimes we hear the T sound. It's not a T, it's an ED. Some two-syllable words you're going to hear are picnic, basket, and river. A picnic is a meal eaten outdoors. You're going to hear brushed, which in our story means to move lightly and quickly, like to brush by somebody. And glanced means to look quickly. All right, I want you guys to listen to today's story to find out who visits Grace's picnic. All right. Let's see if I can put this up here for you. The Picnic by the River. Last summer, the Spencers had a picnic by the river. They had a picnic basket filled with food. It was stuffed with all sorts of good things: chicken wings, ham, grapes, chips, and cupcakes. Mr. Spencer set the picnic basket down. Grace and Jill went for a swim in the river. After their swim, the children raced back to the spot where the picnic basket was. When they got there, There were ants marching down the side of their picnic basket. The ants were marching off with some of the food. The Spencers had set their basket down next to the center of a big ant hill. Yikes, shouted Grace in a loud voice. Who asked those ants to this picnic? Mr. Spencer picked up the picnic basket and brushed off the ants. Much of the food was in plastic bags, so it was safe from the ants. Grace and Jill rinsed off the grapes after they brushed off the rest of the ants. The Spencers sat down and ate their picnic lunch. This time they sat far from the center of the ant hill. After lunch, Mr. Spencer asked, "Should we pack up our stuff and get back to the farm?" "Not yet," said Grace, and glanced back at the ant hill. She smiled and slipped some bits of cupcake and ham into her pocket. Then she ran to the ant hill. She set the bits of cupcake and ham on the ground next to the ant hill. "There," she said, "that will be lunch for the ants. I think ants are cool when they are not crawling on our basket." All right, that's the end of that reader story. Now I want you guys to pull out page 8.1 for our questions. All right, if you want to go back and read the story again, you do have that link that I sent in the email for the reader. So you are always welcome to go back and read it again, or read it to your parents and get familiar with some of those words that you're going to see. But for now, we're just going to work on 8.1, which is our questions for the picnic by the river. Number 1, what was in the picnic basket? Now remember, we always want to restate the question and the answer. Start with a capital, end with punctuation. Make sure we use finger spaces and neat handwriting and spell our words correctly, okay? So what was in the picnic basket? Well, who can remember some things that were in our picnic basket? We read a list on page 8, I think. We had wings, ham, grapes, chips, and all kinds of things. So let's start with the capital. The picnic basket had. Now we're about to make a list, so we're going to use commas. Chicken wings, comma, ham, comma, grapes, comma, chips, comma, and cupcakes, preposition, where, in, it, period. We answered where that stuff was. The picnic basket had chicken wings, ham, grapes, chips, and cupcakes in it. All right, if you only listed 1 or 2 of those things, that's okay. You don't have to recall every single thing it had, but you should have at least some of those, okay, because that's straight from the story. We're not going to worry about the page number because you don't have your reader. Number 2, where had the Spencers set down their picnic basket? And we know that the Spencers set their picnic basket down where? Yeah, next to the center of an ant hill. Not a good place to put your picnic basket. So we're going to put that in a complete sentence. We're going to start with a capital T for the Spencers. That's the name of the family, so it has to have a capital. Has a capital right here. The Spencers had set their basket next to the, and here's one of our new spelling sounds. It's the spelled with a C, center of an ant hill, period at the end. Where had the Spitzers set down their picnic basket? The Spitzers had set their picnic basket next to the center of an ant hill, period. We restated the question. We used our capitals. We needed one at the beginning. We also needed one here for Spitzers because that's a proper noun. That's their name. And names have to have a capital letter at the beginning. Okay, flip your paper. Number 3. Let me bring this up a little. Number 3 says, why was the food in the picnic basket safe from the ants? And that was found back on page 10. The food in the picnic basket was safe from the ants because it was in plastic bags. So we're going to start with a capital. The food in the picnic basket was safe from the ants because our big first grade tricky word, B-E-C-A-U-S-E, because it was in plastic bags, period. Why was the food in the picnic basket safe from the ants? The food in the picnic basket was safe from the ants because it was in plastic bags. Number 4, what did Grace do for the ants at the end? What did Grace do? She just snuck right over there and gave them a little treatsy, didn't she? So let's put that in a complete sentence. We're not going to say Grace gave the ants a little treatsy. That's not even a real word. Okay, so we will say Grace with a capital G, Grace gave the ants some lunch. And if you wanted to say specifically, Grace gave the ants some ham, that's perfectly fine too. Yours doesn't have to match mine exactly. Grace gave the ants some lunch at the end. And what comes at the end of our sentence? A period. Very good. So we restated our questions and our answers. We started with capitals. We used punctuation. We wrote neatly with finger spaces, and we spelled all of our words correctly. And that is how you give me a beautiful, wonderful, great answer. All right, good job, guys. And that is all we had to do today in skills. I want you to pay attention to prepositions in your sentences. Prepositions answer, where, how something happened. Prepositions are words like to, from, under, over, through, around, near. So yeah, just work on remembering those. And practice your spelling words. I'm gonna give you a test on Friday. Bye guys. See you tomorrow.